The movie opens at the famous Troll Wall in Norway, the tallest vertical rock face in Europe, where Sasha and her boyfriend Tommy are attempting a dangerous climb together. Early in the morning, Sasha wakes Tommy inside their tent, determined to keep going despite the freezing weather and brutal conditions. Unlike Tommy, who is exhausted and cautious, Sasha is obsessed with reaching the summit. As they continue climbing higher up the mountain, Sasha repeatedly struggles on one difficult section of the wall. She slips several times, slamming hard against the rock face as the climb takes a physical toll on her body. Dark storm clouds start rolling in over the mountains, and the weather becomes dangerous. Tommy finally tells her they should turn back and try again another day. But Sasha insists they can still reach the summit before the storm arrives and becomes frustrated when Tommy tries to stop her. Tommy tells her she is starting to lose the plot, reminding her that the entire reason climbers work in pairs is so one person can make the right decision when the other becomes too reckless. Back inside their tent, Tommy tells Sasha that she has been rushing everything lately, always chasing the next extreme thing. He admits that he is getting too old for this and doesn't know how many more of these trips he has left in him. He mentions his lucky compass is telling him his luck is finally running out. But Sasha tells him he always talks like this whenever a climb becomes difficult. To her, Tommy is simply losing confidence, while she remains completely focused on reaching the summit no matter what. Before long, the storm arrives with full force, forcing them to abandon the climb and start descending the mountain. Powerful winds tear across the rock face as snow and chunks of ice begin crashing down around them. The conditions turn deadly, and the two of them struggle to stay balanced while securing themselves to the wall. In the chaos, Sasha makes a critical mistake and forgets to properly secure Tommy's rope before he starts descending. Seconds later, part of the mountain gives way and an avalanche crashes into them. Tommy is violently knocked off the wall and sent swinging through the air before smashing his head against the rocks. Now unconscious, Tommy hangs helplessly from the rope while Sasha tries to hold his weight. But the force pulling on her harness is overwhelming. His body slowly drags her toward the edge as the storm rages around them. Sasha realizes that if she keeps holding on, both of them will fall to their deaths. She is finally forced to let go of the rope. Tommy disappears into the storm below, plummeting down the mountain to his death, while Sasha is left hanging there alone in shock. 5 months later, Sasha is still struggling with the trauma of Tommy's death. Carrying both his ashes and his old compass with her, she travels alone to Wandara National Park in Australia, Tommy's homeland, intending to scatter his ashes in the wilderness he loved. When she arrives at the park ranger station, the ranger warns her to be careful because several people have recently disappeared in the region. On the wall behind him hangs a disturbing collection of missing person flyers, showing hikers and travelers who vanished without a trace inside the massive wilderness. Sasha signs her name into the visitor register before continuing deeper into the park. Later, she stops at a service station to refuel and buy supplies. Inside, 2 local hunters begin harassing her after noticing she is traveling alone. They keep trying to talk to her and offer themselves as guides, but Sasha refuses to engage with them and stays calm instead of escalating the situation. The tension only ends when another man steps in. The stranger is introduced as Ben, an outdoorsman who supplies the store with his own homemade beef jerky. Before leaving, Sasha buys one of his jerky packets for the road. Outside, Sasha asks Ben for directions to Grand Isle Narrows after her GPS stops working. Ben asks whether she wants to take the easy way or the hard way. When Sasha says she just wants the best way, he recommends a path through Blackstone Bay. He describes it as a hidden camping spot beside the water that most tourists never discover. As he gives her directions, Ben warns her that the area can become intense and mentions that most people explore in pairs. He suggests she should not be alone out there and hints at accompanying her himself. Sensing something slightly off about him, Sasha quickly drives away toward Blackstone Bay alone. Later that night, while she is alone at the campsite, the same hunters from the service station arrive nearby in their trucks. They drag a dead animal out into the open, string it up, and begin preparing it for food while blasting loud music through the forest. The men try to get Sasha's attention again. They offer her beer, invite her to join them, and keep attempting to pull her into conversation. Sasha handles the situation carefully and refuses to engage with them in any aggressive way. Instead, she locks herself inside the van and waits them out. After lingering around for a while and realizing she is not going to respond, the hunters finally lose interest and drive away into the night, leaving her alone at the campsite. The following morning, Sasha continues deeper into the wilderness by kayak. She moves through fast rapids and narrow waterways surrounded by dense forest. As evening approaches, she finds another secluded place to camp for the night. Remembering the warnings about animals, she hangs her bag from a tree branch to keep it safe while she settles in for the evening. Before falling asleep, she eats some of Ben's homemade jerky. The next morning, Sasha wakes up to thick fog surrounding the campsite. As she steps outside her tent, she realizes her bag is gone, along with her phone and supplies. Sasha gets back into her kayak and continues deeper into the wilderness until she eventually comes across another campsite. To her surprise, it belongs to Ben, the strange but friendly man from the service station. He welcomes her over, and Sasha explains that something stole all her gear during the night. Ben blames the wombats and jokes that they're always getting into people's bags out there. He tells her it's a bummer, but luckily he packed twice as much stuff as he needs, so he offers to share his food and supplies with her. Sasha wants to leave as quickly as possible, but Ben seems pleasant enough, and she doesn't want to offend him. So she reluctantly sits beside his fire while he cooks breakfast. During their conversation, she asks about the beef jerky she bought earlier. Ben tells her he makes it himself, and Sasha admits she already tried it the previous night and liked it. Ben then explains that the jerky is called Geno's Jerky, named after his mother. A moment later, Ben offers her some water and jokes that he forgot to pack his roofies. He laughs about it, but the comment puts Sasha on edge. As they keep talking, Ben says he spends most of his life out in the wilderness. He admits he is not originally from Australia and says he came from somewhere far less appealing before his mother brought him here as a child. The conversation becomes uncomfortable when Ben starts hinting that he already knows what kind of person Sasha is. He talks about adrenaline junkies who constantly chase danger just to feel alive, the kind of people who believe there is never a mountain high enough for them. Sasha responds that she is done with mountains now. She then mentions the hunters who showed up at her campsite the previous night and says they were trying to mess with her. Ben seems concerned at first, but then tells her she handled the situation perfectly because she never provoked them or gave him a reason to hurt her. That instantly sets off alarm bells in Sasha's head. Ben was there and watched her the entire time. He tells her she is special and says he sensed it from the moment they first met. Sasha stands up and says she should leave. But before she can go, Ben shows her a bracelet that had been inside her missing bag. Sasha realizes he was the one who stole her things. Trying to stay calm, she still attempts to leave without escalating the situation. Then Ben tosses her stolen bag at her feet and tells her not to forget it. He then pulls out a crossbow along with a boombox, starts blasting music through the forest, and excitedly explains the rules of his game. He tells Sasha she has until the end of the song to get as far away from him as possible before he starts hunting her. Sasha grabs her bag and runs through the wilderness while Ben happily watches her disappear into the trees. She sprints through the forest and barely manages to escape Ben's campsite on her kayak. But while racing through the rapids in panic, she loses control and is thrown into the freezing water. Her kayak is swept away by the current, leaving her stranded deep in the wilderness with Ben somewhere behind her. Sasha climbs up a steep hill and hears the voices of a family nearby. For a moment, she thinks she has finally found help. She follows the sound, only to discover that it is just a video recording Ben planted in the woods to lure her out. Then an arrow flies past her. Ben emerges from the trees, carrying his crossbow. He keeps pace with her through the forest, firing arrows while laughing and screeching like an animal. One of the arrows finally slams into her bag, knocking her off balance, and she tumbles violently down into the river below. Injured and exhausted, Sasha manages to crawl into a small cave hidden near the water. Inside, she climbs higher through the narrow rocks until she reaches an opening overlooking the river below. From there, she spots Ben's canoe tied near the shore. A moment later, she sees Ben himself searching the area nearby. Sasha retreats deeper into the cave and stays completely still, hiding in silence until Ben finally moves on. After waiting in the cave for a while, Sasha climbs back out and notices that Ben is down by the river, swinging naked from a rope into the water. His canoe is still tied nearby, and she thinks it might be her only chance to escape. She carefully makes her way down toward the river and slowly approaches the canoe while Ben is distracted. Everything stays quiet as she reaches the rope tying the canoe in place. But the moment she tries to untie the knot, she steps on a hidden bear trap, which snaps shut around her foot. Ben grabs the chain attached to the trap and drags her back toward him while she struggles to get free. Sasha manages to grab her pepper spray from the bag and sprays it directly into his eyes. This gives her a few seconds to move, and she tries to reach for his crossbow, lying nearby. But Ben quickly pulls the chain again, stopping her before she can get to it. He recovers the crossbow first and points it at her, ending her attempt to escape. After that, Ben removes the bear trap from Sasha's leg and ties her to a tree. Sasha asks him if this is all just some kind of game to him. But Ben tells her this is not a game at all. It is a ritual. He reminds her that when they first met, he asked whether she wanted the easy way or the hard way. According to him, she made her choice the moment she followed his directions into the wilderness. Ben explains that rituals are important because they keep people grounded and remind them who they really are. He talks about tribes that sharpen their teeth into points and says enduring pain is part of growing up. The next day, Ben loads Sasha into the kayak and takes her deeper through the river while keeping her restrained. During the trip, he reveals that he got her name from the park ranger register and looked in her past online. He starts asking questions about the troll wall and Tommy's death. Sasha insists it was just an unfortunate accident, but Ben doesn't believe her. While Ben continues talking, Sasha notices a metal hook and tries to position it under her feet so she can hit him with it. But Ben catches her before she can make a move. Without hesitation, he shoves her off the kayak into the river while she is still chained up and drags her through the water behind him the rest of the way. Eventually, Ben brings Sasha to the base of a massive cave system hidden deep in the wilderness. To reach it, they have to climb down into the darkness below. Once inside, Sasha discovers the horrifying truth behind the disappearances in the park. Hanging throughout the cave are the corpses of Ben's victims, suspended from chains in different stages of decay. Ben ties Sasha up inside the cave and explains that some tribes believed you could capture the spirit of your prey by consuming its liver. The difficult part, according to him, is finding someone with a spirit worth taking. He says most of his victims never fought back properly, but Sasha is different. In his eyes, she has a true spirit. He continues talking about how every part of the body should be used because it is more reverent that way. Looking around the cave, Sasha notices human organs and pieces of flesh hanging nearby, and she realizes the origins of Ben's homemade jerky. Ben then asks her if she believes there is something wrong with him. Trying to keep him calm, Sasha tells him she thinks terrible things must have happened to him when he was young. She even tells him she is sorry for whatever happened to him. Ben gets emotional and removes his dentures, revealing that his teeth have been filed into sharp points. He then reveals that he has consumed the people he killed, including his own mother, who was his first victim. Now he plans to do the same thing to Sasha. Ben straps her into a harness and hoists her up. But when he gets close, Sasha bites in his ear and tears it off. Ben screams in pain and drops the rope holding her. Sasha runs for her life and throws herself into the river below, still chained at the wrists. Ben dives in after her, gripping the cable attached to her chains, as both of them are dragged further downstream. Ben follows her into the river and hooks himself onto the cable. The two of them are dragged through the current together until they suddenly go over a waterfall. Ben slams hard against the rocks and is knocked unconscious. Sasha crawls out of the water and tries to remove the cable, but it's not working. A few moments later, Ben wakes back up. Sasha attacks him, first trying to hold him underwater and drown him, then wrapping the cable around his neck to choke him. But despite his injuries, Ben overpowers her and pins her down, choking her. Just as she is close to passing out, Ben stops and lets her breathe again. The hesitation gives Sasha an opening and she punches him. Then she grabs a large rock and repeatedly smashes his leg with it until the bone breaks. Ben lashes out, striking her hard enough to break her nose. After that, neither of them can keep fighting. They collapse onto the ground beside each other, still connected by the cable. As night falls, Neither one has the strength left to attack the other. Lying there in the dark, Sasha finally tells Ben the truth about Tommy's death. She explains that after the avalanche, Tommy's body was dragging both of them off the mountain. She had no choice but to release the rope holding him. She admits that Tommy no longer wanted to live like this, but she didn't listen. The next morning, Ben's broken leg is badly infected and covered in flies. He can barely move anymore. But Sasha is still chained to him, meaning if he dies there, she could end up trapped beside his body and eventually starve herself. Realizing they have no other option, the two reluctantly agree to work together. Their only way out is to attempt a dangerous tandem climb up the massive cliff surrounding the canyon. Ben promises that if they reach the top, he will finally remove her shackles and let her go. Using the remaining gear, Sasha builds a Prussic knot system to help Ben haul himself upward. She also improvises a diaper harness for him while attaching herself to another harness connected directly to Ben. The climb is slow and exhausting. Sasha carefully works her way up the cliff while Ben drags himself behind her. But all the while, she keeps looking for a way to free herself from him. At one point, Sasha tries to loosen her harness. Ben notices and violently yanks the rope, pulling her off the wall and sending her swinging hard beside him. When Sasha climbs back into position, she tells him she was only resetting the rope, then she continues climbing. Eventually, she reaches a small ledge where Ben can't see what she is doing. Nearby, a tree branch sticks out from the rock wall. Sasha wraps Ben's rope around the branch and secures it before trying to slip out of the harness connecting them together. The moment Ben realizes what is happening, he tries dragging her off the cliff again. Sasha nearly falls, but during the struggle, the harness finally comes loose from her body. Finally free from him, Sasha unties the rope securing Ben to the branch, and he falls down the canyon, smashing into a rock. Sasha continues the climb, now without gear, which seems almost impossible. At one point, a rock slips from her hand and she nearly falls but manages to hold on. After a brutal final push, Sasha finally reaches the top of the cliff. She collapses onto the ground, laughing and crying at the same time. Against all odds, she survived. Later that night, Sasha walks through the forest until she reaches a road. In the darkness, she spots headlights approaching. Inside the car are two women who agree to take her back to her car at Blackstone Bay. Then she returns to the ranger station. Standing in front of the wall covered with missing person flyers, Sasha tells the ranger that she knows where all of them are. A massive search operation begins in the wilderness. Authorities eventually recover the bodies hidden inside Ben's cave, confirming that the disappearances around the park were caused by a single killer living deep in the forest. News reports later reveal that dozens of victims were found inside the hideout. In the final scene, Sasha goes to the beach carrying Tommy's old compass and throws it into the ocean. The end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.